Chosen one, listen carefully. This is not just another message scrolling past your screen. You didn't click on this by accident. There is a reason your eyes landed here at this exact moment. Out of all the noise, all the distractions, all the other videos you could have chosen, this is the one that pulled you in. And I need you to understand something right now, before you go any further. This is a warning, not a casual reminder, not a motivational speech. A warning, because today something shifted. In the spirit, there are moments when heaven goes quiet, and then suddenly it speaks with urgency. This is one of those moments. And the message is clear. You are about to step into something that will change everything. But here's the part most people don't realize. Whenever something significant is about to happen in your life, there is always resistance before the release. There is always confusion before clarity. There is always pressure before purpose is revealed. And if you've been feeling it lately, the heaviness, the strange tension, the sense that something is off, but you can't quite explain it. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That is spiritual. Because when you are chosen, your life doesn't move like everyone else's. You don't walk ordinary paths. You don't experience things on a surface level. Everything about your journey is deeper, more intense, more intentional. And right now, you are standing at a crossroads. There is something trying to distract you, something trying to delay you. Something trying to pull your focus away at the exact moment you need clarity the most. And this is why this message found you today. Because if you ignore what's happening right now, you could miss something that was meant specifically for you. But if you pay attention, if you stay alert, if you listen, you will step into alignment at the perfect time. Now, let me ask you something and be honest with yourself. Have you recently felt like you're being pushed in a direction you didn't expect? Have you noticed certain people acting differently around you? Have you felt a sudden urge to pull back, to isolate, to rethink everything? That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is the first sign that something is being revealed to you. You are not losing your way. You are being redirected. And right now, more than ever, you need to stay connected to messages like this. Because not everyone will understand what you're going through. Not everyone will see what you see or feel what you feel. That's the weight of being chosen. You carry insight others don't. You notice things others ignore. You feel shifts before they happen. And yes, sometimes that makes the journey lonely, but it also means you are being guided in a way that most people will never experience. So if this message is resonating with you even a little, take a second right now. Subscribe to this channel, because messages like this are not just content. They are confirmations. They are reminders that you are not alone in this journey, and that what you're experiencing has purpose behind it. And if you truly feel this message speaking directly to your situation, consider sending a super thanks to support this work so these messages can continue reaching the people who need them most, including you. Now let's go deeper, because this warning didn't come without a reason. There is something unfolding behind the scenes, something you cannot fully see yet, but you are about to. There's a reason you've been feeling different lately, and it goes deeper than mood, deeper than circumstances, deeper than anything visible on the surface. Something is shifting, not around you, but within you. And if you're chosen, you already know this feeling. It's that quiet but undeniable sense that you are no longer aligned with what once felt normal. Conversations don't hit the same. Environments feel off. Even certain relationships that once felt comfortable now feel heavy. Almost like they're draining something from you. That's not confusion, that's separation. Because when God begins to move you into your next level, He doesn't just open new doors. He starts closing old ones. Not because those things were bad, but because they can no longer carry the version of you that you are becoming. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most people don't recognize this stage. They think something is wrong. They try to fix it. They try to hold on to people, habits, or situations that no longer align, simply because they're familiar. But you're starting to notice it. You're starting to feel it. And that's exactly why this message found you. Because this phase you're in right now is critical. It's the space between who you were and who you are being called to become. And that space can feel like everything is falling apart. You may feel disconnected. You may feel misunderstood. You may even question yourself, wondering, why is everything changing all at once? But let me make something very clear. This is not destruction. This is preparation. There is a refining happening in your life. Just like gold is placed under intense heat to remove impurities, you are being placed in situations that are exposing what cannot go with you into your next season. That discomfort you feel, it's revealing truth. That distance you're experiencing, it's creating clarity. And that silence you've been sitting in, it's making space for direction. Because when you are chosen, God will never allow you to stay comfortable in a place that is no longer meant for you. Now think about this. Have there been moments recently where you felt like pulling away without fully understanding why? Have you found yourself questioning people's intentions more than before? Have you noticed patterns you used to ignore suddenly becoming obvious? That's not overthinking. That's discernment increasing. And discernment is one of the strongest signs that you are being spiritually elevated. You're beginning to see beyond words, beyond appearances, beyond surface-level connections. And while that is a gift, it also comes with responsibility. Because now that you can see, you can't unsee. Now that you can feel the difference, you can't go back to pretending everything is the same. And this is where many people struggle. They try to hold on to both worlds, the old and the new, but you can't. Because where you're going requires alignment, not attachment. It requires clarity, not confusion. And most importantly, it requires obedience. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't need to see the full picture, but you do need to trust what you're feeling. Because that inner shift, that quiet voice, that sense that something bigger is unfolding, that's not your imagination, that's direction. Now that you understand something is shifting within you, we need to address the part that most people overlook, the distractions. Because what you've been experiencing lately is not just life happening. It's not just coincidence, bad timing, or random interruptions. It is targeted. When you are chosen, distractions don't come casually. They come strategically, right at the moment when you are closest to clarity. Right when you are about to understand something that could change your direction. Think about it. Have you noticed how, every time you try to focus, something suddenly pulls your attention away? You sit down to think, to reflect, to pray, and out of nowhere your mind becomes noisy. Your phone lights up, someone reaches out, or you feel an unexpected wave of tiredness or restlessness. That's not just lack of discipline, that's interference. Because distraction is one of the easiest ways to delay a chosen person without them even realizing it. You don't have to be stopped. You just have to be distracted long enough to miss the moment. And right now, that's exactly what's trying to happen. There is something important trying to reach you, a realization, a decision, a shift in perspective that will unlock your next step. But if your focus keeps getting pulled in different directions, you won't fully receive it. And this is why the warning came today. Because the enemy doesn't always attack with something obvious. It doesn't always come through chaos or destruction. Sometimes it comes through subtlety, small distractions, small compromises, small delays, things that seem harmless on the surface, but slowly pull you out of alignment. And the most dangerous part, you don't notice it right away. You just feel off. You feel like you're moving but not progressing, busy but not fulfilled, present but not connected. And over time, that distance grows. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. If you are being distracted this heavily, it's because what's ahead of you is valuable. No one tries to block something that has no impact. No one tries to delay something that doesn't matter. So the level of distraction you're facing right now is directly connected to the level of purpose you are stepping into. Let that sink in. Now ask yourself honestly, what has been pulling your attention the most lately? Is it certain people who suddenly demand more of your time? Is it thoughts that keep repeating, creating doubt or confusion? Is it habits that you know don't serve you but feel harder to break right now? These are not random patterns, these are pressure points. And pressure is applied where breakthrough is closest. This is the moment where you have to become intentional. You have to start protecting your focus like it matters, because it does. You have to start being selective with your energy, because not everything deserves access to you anymore. And most importantly, you have to recognize when something is pulling you away from your alignment, because once you see it clearly, it loses its power. The distraction only works when you're unaware, but now you're aware, and that changes everything. So don't ignore what you've been noticing. Don't brush it off. Lean into it. Pay attention. At this point, you've felt the shift. You've recognized the distractions. And now you're starting to see something even more personal happening. People are changing, or at least it feels that way. Connections that once felt strong are becoming distant. Conversations that used to flow now feel forced. There's a tension you can't quite explain, a silence where there used to be understanding. And if you're honest, part of you is questioning it. Did I do something wrong? Why does this feel different all of a sudden? Why do I feel alone even around familiar people? But here's what you need to understand clearly. This is not rejection. This is redirection. When you are chosen, not everyone assigned to your past is meant to walk into your future. And when God begins to elevate you, He also begins to separate you from what can no longer align with your next level. That separation can feel painful because it doesn't always come with closure. It doesn't always come with clear explanations. Sometimes it just happens quietly. People pull away. Energy shifts. Access changes. And you're left trying to make sense of something that doesn't fully make sense yet. But this is where your perspective has to change, because what feels like loss is actually protection. There are conversations you are no longer meant to be part of. There are environments you are no longer meant to stay in. There are people who, without even realizing it, would limit you if they remained as close as they once were. And this is not about them being bad. It's about alignment. Not everyone can grow with you at the same pace. Not everyone can understand the direction you're being pulled toward. And not everyone is meant to have the same level of access to you in every season of your life. That's the part many chosen ones struggle with, because your heart wants to hold on. You remember who they were. You remember what you shared. You remember the comfort. But you have to ask yourself a deeper question. Are they aligned with who I am becoming? Because holding on to something that no longer aligns will only slow down what's trying to unfold in your life. And right now, your life is moving. Even if it doesn't feel like it, even if everything seems uncertain, there is a divine rearrangement happening behind the scenes. People are being repositioned. Doors are being adjusted. Paths are being cleared in ways you cannot fully see yet. And yes, part of that process involves separation. But let's go even deeper. Have you noticed that some people only seem to show up when you're at a certain level, but become distant when you start evolving? Have you felt like you have to shrink yourself around certain individuals just to maintain peace? Have you caught yourself staying silent about your growth because you know it won't be understood? That's your confirmation. Because anything that requires you to become less of who you are is not meant to stay in your life at the level it once did. And this is where strength comes in. Not the kind of strength that fights to hold everything together, but the kind of strength that knows when to let go. Let go of forced connections. Let go of misaligned energy. Let go of the need to explain yourself to people who are no longer in alignment with your path. Because where you're going requires space. Space for clarity. Space for growth. Space for the right people to enter your life at the right time. So don't resist the separation. Don't chase what is naturally falling away. And don't take it personally. Now that the separation is happening, now that certain people and patterns are fading, you may find yourself in a place that feels unfamiliar. A place where things are quieter, slower, more internal than external. And if you're not careful, you might misinterpret this season. You might think nothing is happening. You might feel like progress has stopped. You might even question if you've somehow gone backwards. But the truth is, this is one of the most important seasons of your entire life. Because this is the season where you are being built, not in public, not where everyone can see and applaud, but in private, in the silence. In the moments where it's just you, your thoughts, and God. This is where real transformation happens. Because when everything external quiets down, you are finally able to hear what has been trying to reach you all along. There's no more noise to hide behind, no more distractions to escape into, no more people to lean on for validation. It's just truth, and truth will always change you. Now think about what's been happening in your life recently. Have you been spending more time alone than usual? Have you been reflecting more deeply on your past, your choices, your direction? Have you felt a strong pull to slow down, even when you don't fully understand why? That's not stagnation. That's preparation, because before elevation comes isolation. Before visibility comes development. Before purpose is fully revealed. There is always a period where you are being shaped internally, and this is where many people miss it. They rush through this season. They try to fill the silence with noise. They look for distractions to avoid facing what's being revealed within them. But you're being called to lean into it, to sit in the quiet, to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you react. Because there are things being revealed to you right now that will guide your next steps. And if you rush this process, you risk missing the clarity that is meant to come from it. Let's go even deeper. This silent season is not just about reflection. It's about refinement. It's where your mindset is being sharpened. Your discernment is becoming stronger. Your emotional strength is being tested and developed. You are learning how to stand without constant support, how to trust without constant reassurance, how to move without needing constant confirmation from others. And that kind of strength, it can only be built in silence, because when you are finally placed in the position you've been preparing for, you won't have time to doubt yourself. You won't have time to second-guess every decision. You will need clarity. You will need confidence. You will need inner stability. And that is exactly what this season is creating within you. So don't fear the quiet, don't run from the stillness, and don't assume that nothing is happening, just because you can't see immediate results, because beneath the surface, everything is shifting, everything is aligning, everything is preparing you for what's next. You've made it through the shift, you've endured the distractions, you've felt the separation, you've sat in the silence, and now something is about to happen that will make all of it make sense. Because what you didn't realize during those difficult moments is that everything was leading to this point, the breakthrough. But here's where most people misunderstand it. Breakthrough doesn't always arrive with noise. It doesn't always come with instant, dramatic change. Sometimes it begins quietly, as a realization, a decision, a sudden clarity that shifts how you see everything. And once that shift happens internally, the external begins to follow. That's where you are right now, right on the edge of it. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can feel something building. There's a different kind of energy in you now, a calmness that wasn't there before, a strength that doesn't need to prove itself, a clarity that cuts through confusion faster than it used to. That's not random, that's evidence. Evidence that something has already changed within you. And once you change, everything connected to you has no choice but to adjust. Now think about this carefully. Have you recently had moments where things just clicked in your mind, where situations you once struggled to understand suddenly became clear, where decisions that used to feel difficult now feel obvious? That's breakthrough in motion. It starts inside before it shows up outside, because God doesn't elevate confusion, He elevates clarity. He doesn't place you into new levels while you're still operating with old thinking. So before anything around you shifts, He makes sure you shift first. And that's exactly what has been happening in your life. Every uncomfortable moment, every period of silence, every separation you didn't understand, it was all aligning your mindset with where you're about to go. Because where you're going requires a different version of you, a more focused version, a more disciplined version, a more aware version. And now, that version is starting to emerge. But here's the part you need to stay alert to. The moment before breakthrough is often the moment of greatest testing. This is where distractions may try one last time, where old habits may resurface, where people from your past may suddenly reappear, not by accident, but as a test of alignment, to see if you will go back or move forward. And this is where your growth is proven, not in what you say, but in what you choose. Do you return to what is familiar? Or do you step into what is right? Do you entertain what you've outgrown? Or do you protect what you've built? Because the breakthrough you're about to experience requires consistency with the person you've become. You can't step into a new level while holding on to old patterns. And you've come too far to go backwards now. So stay grounded, stay aware, stay aligned with what you know is right, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. Because what's ahead of you is not just another phase. It's a turning point, a moment where everything begins to open up in ways you couldn't have forced, predicted, or rushed. Now everything comes down to this moment, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. Because everything you've felt, everything you've gone through, every shift, every separation, every moment of silence has been leading you here. And the truth is simple but powerful. You are ready. Not because everything around you is perfect, not because you have all the answers, but because you have been prepared. Prepared through pressure. Prepared through patience, prepared through the very things that tried to break you, but instead built you. But here's the part that most people don't want to hear. Preparation alone is not enough. There comes a moment where you have to make a decision, a clear, intentional decision to step fully into alignment with what you now know. Because you can receive all the signs, all the confirmations, all the inner clarity in the world. But if you hesitate, if you doubt, if you delay your next step, you can still miss the fullness of what's meant for you, not because it wasn't prepared, but because you weren't willing to move when the moment came. And this is that moment. So what do you need to do right now? First, trust what has been revealed to you, not what others are saying, not what fear is trying to suggest, but what you have clearly seen and felt within yourself. Because at this point, you already know what no longer aligns. You already know what you need to walk away from. You already know what direction you're being pulled toward. Stop second-guessing it. Clarity doesn't always come with comfort, but it always comes with truth. Second, take the step you've been avoiding. There is something you've been hesitating on. A move, a decision, a boundary. Something you know is necessary, but you've been waiting for the perfect time. Let this be clear. The perfect time is rarely comfortable. It's usually when things feel uncertain, when you don't have full control, when you have to rely on faith instead of guarantees. That's what makes it a step of alignment, not convenience. And third, protect your focus at all costs. Because now that you're aware, now that you're aligned, distractions will not stop completely. But your response to them must change. You can no longer give your energy to things that drain you. You can no longer entertain what you've already outgrown. You can no longer allow temporary emotions to pull you away from long-term purpose. You have to become disciplined with your attention, intentional with your energy, selective with your environment, because where you're going requires all of you. And finally, move with quiet confidence. You don't need to announce everything. You don't need validation from everyone. You don't need to explain your journey to people who don't understand your calling. Just move, steady, focused, aligned, and let your results speak over time. Because when you are truly walking in what has been prepared for you, it will show, not in noise, but in impact, not in attention, but in transformation. So don't shrink back now. Don't question yourself now. And don't go back to what you've already outgrown, because this message didn't reach you by accident. This was your confirmation, your reminder, your warning, and your invitation. Step into it.